Welcome to Sustainable Packaging with Cory Connors, presented by Atlantic Packaging. I'm your host, Cory Connors. In today's episode, I connected with Mr. Matthew Wright, the founder and CEO of Forest. He is a friend and mentor and has already successfully launched Specright. We are so excited to see what Forest can do for this packaging industry. I'd also like to thank our sponsors, 3M and Specright. We couldn't do this show without them. Welcome to Sustainable Packaging with Cory Connors. I am so excited to have my very good friend and mentor, Mr. Matthew Wright, on the show today from Forest. He is the founder and CEO of this new company that we're really excited to talk about. Welcome to the show, sir.
Cory, it's great to be with you, and you're always very kind to me. So thank you. We all learn from you too. You're a great innovator
Appreciate
in this
it.
space.
Thank you. Well, I've learned a lot from you, and I'm excited to explain to the audience today what is Forest. But let's talk about first, what was the idea for it? Why did you launch this kind of new platform?
Well, I'd have to say a little bit it's just insanity. But past there to your question about the business side of it, I had spent, I know we'll speak a little bit about Specright, but spent years, with Specright and amazing people and customers building, the brand, private label retailers, data structuring, and obviously all that great stuff that's gone over there. And I always felt that there was still this nagging need to help organize the packaging, side of the business. And what we've done amazing with specifications on packaging, but really making packaging a lot more easy to consume, as it sounds interesting, as this massive market, $1 trillion market. It's very interconnected, very layered today, from raw materials to converters to analysts to consultants to distributors. It's a very complicated world. It's not really well organized. And so I decided, my next time and energy should be spent around trying to organize the business I love so much.
Yeah. It makes perfect sense because Specright, if the listeners don't know what Specright is, it's specification management software and so much more. And it's a way for people to put all their information into one system and make it globally accessible. And it's not just packaging. It can be ingredients or systems, assembly instructions. There's so much more. And then I think we've talked about this at Spec Summit recently, how the number one question I get is, how do I collect my data and what data do I gather? The number two question I get is, who should I go to for this? Meaning, which supplier is the right fit? Who do you trust, Cory? And that's often why people come to you and me is, hey, I want to buy a million boxes in Oklahoma. Who should I talk to? And I think that's what, as far as I can tell, what Forest will do for the whole community. Can you walk us through what it is and how it works?
No, and I think to your point, we all get those phone calls. We're called craftsmen by a gentleman I really respect in the business, and he says the craftsmen are no more. And what it was, and there's two phases to this conversation. One is, in general, and it's much like the conversation about Specright. Typically, there wasn't a ton of movement of material supply, and the world was less chaotic. There was less challenges with global supply, whether it was tariffs or global disruption, sustainability, and the need not only to know what you're making, but make it better or different, to make it closer to home. All these kind of needs have sprung up in very recent past. I'm talking about years, and it's really catching an industry off guard that was historically pretty easy in the way it did business. It kind of, you knew Joe down the corner, you bought your boxes for him for 20 years, and it worked. Today, with this disruption and the next generation coming in that likes to do things differently, the packaging world needs to be organized and sought after differently. And to your point, all the experiences that we have in the rest of our life, the way we engage with real estate, the way we engage with restaurants, the way we engage with e-com, it's all very similar. And then you get to the packaging space, and it's a packaging space, and it's still very historically driven. And so all I'm doing with Forest is layering on kind of the known way we engage with technology, with other things we do, to the packaging space. So these questions that you and I get, hey, where do I find this strange product in this part of the world? A becomes very intuitive. The system looks for that. It's structuring on the back end the expectations of data differently, and I'll explain that in a second. Then once you have that information, then can you act upon it? So it's not just searching for a restaurant. Can you make a reservation? And so it's not just searching for packaging. It's, can I get a quote? Can I get a sample? Can I have a conversation about this? Can I share some information with you? Can you share some information with you? So doing this all on one platform and again, in a very natural way that we engage with technology today is important. As I mentioned, the structuring piece on the packaging side is, and it's not a knock. It's kind of back to this historical relevance. If you search packaging sites, typically you're going to see equipment, you're going to see trucks, you're going to see history. That's kind of what we needed historically in the way we did business. Today we need to know what industries, what materials do you have? Do you like big orders, small orders? How far do you ship? How do you ship? These are the type of questions that I'm helping build to make that intuitive search better today for both sides.
Hey, friends, we are going to take a quick break to thank our sponsors. Please be sure to support them. Are you shipping with recycled corrugated? Think outside the box with 3M tape. 3M packaging tape can help you overcome your recycled corrugated challenges with confidence, making sure your boxes are sealed securely the first time, reducing downtime, and providing consistent performance. With 3M as your partner, you can maintain productivity, achieve cost savings, and turn packaging problems into sealing success. When you use recycled corrugated shipping boxes, think 3M packaging tape. Sustainability starts long before a product hits the shelf. It starts with the spec. That's why brands choose Specright, the leader in intelligent specification data management and modern product lifecycle management. Specright turns siloed packaging and product data into connected, reliable intelligence so AI can identify waste, optimize materials, streamline supplier collaboration, and accelerate sustainable product design. If you're trying to reduce packaging complexity or meet evolving regulations, it's time for a spec-first approach. Specright, the intelligent foundation for every product. Discover more at specright.com. Yeah. Yeah, well said. I think the days of randomly Googling things and asking things like that are coming to an end or just changing. And I wanted to talk to you about how you'll use AI in this platform, because that's what everyone is talking about, is AI this and AI that. And I think it's absolutely critical to the future of a successful business to be at the leading edge of that. I'm assuming I know you will use AI in your platform. Can you talk us through that?
Yeah, for sure. It's interesting too. Historically, and I was just having this conversation yesterday. We built Specright in a time that was before AI, and now we're bringing AI into the mix and kind of integrating those technologies. Of course, it's built in an era where AI drives all development, right? All new development. So it is not only AI enabled, it is AI. It's where the origins of all the technology come today. AI, though, the criticality, especially in the packaging space, has to be trained upon models of data that don't really exist today. And so to your point, we've been able to find 20, 30% of the data we need in kind of open source, which is how people do it. But we have to teach it the rest of the way. So back to my points, what are criticality? Get those answers and then start searching against that. And that builds that muscle around kind of that type of building so that AI can enable the full landscape. And so that's what part of our job is not only to develop and build the product through AI, but also to bring information that may not be readily available, to make it readily available, to make the system flow and operate. It's amazing that, as you know, the tools out there today, but it still needs data to operate and breathe off of. And that's the value we're bringing, is teaching it what data it needs to know.
I love that. Yeah, we have to tell it what's right, and that's the main thing here, is having great data and value add companies be a part of this. There are a lot of packaging companies out there that really aren't the best to work with, and I know this from 30 years of experience of, that I won't go through that again,
Right.
Or are you focusing
Yeah.
on that? How do you keep those kind of companies off the platform?
Yeah, it's interesting and I had a lot of things have dawned on me over time. It takes, Cory, it takes me a while, but I eventually get it. It's funny. I was reading on LinkedIn one day and I was seeing negative reviews about a packaging supplier. And I'm like, I stopped for a minute with, if this is the only methodology of which we have to share that kind of information, there's a problem, right? And so
Right.
It's not the reason for it's in existence, but it is an outcome. And so just by natural, again, models that we follow everywhere else in our life, we know good restaurants and we know bad restaurants. So immediately what we do, I was asked the other day, hey, you think that's a good restaurant? What do? We went on and looked what the reviews were, right? And
Right.
so that's going to be the same thing with Force, is over time, these searches are built to know how active those searches are, how accurate those searches are. We're going to verify the data that people are saying that they're doing. If you say you're 99% delivery rate on a 10-day backlog, whatever the answer is, we're going to make sure that's accurate. You're going to have the ability to influence that over time. You're not going to get a search criteria based upon Google, which is paid for play, but you are on performance. You're going to have the best profiles, the most accurate profiles. You're going to get good feedback from your customers. Your priority or your leveling is going to raise. And so it's going to be very similar, again, to the experience that we've seen in other parts. And it will, by definition, call those out that need to change behavior or performance.
Which is great, which is necessary, and will be beneficial to those companies that participate. I think we all could use straightening out every once in a while, and a reminder that we can do better. And I think I've personally, over my career, experienced that. Had customers say, "Hey, this could have been better, man. Like, let's do it differently next time."
No, and I think a lot of cases people want to know that. I was watching a show the other night that was kind of an undercover show, and I'm like, actually, probably the CEO of those companies would love to know that's the experience the consumer's getting in their restaurants or whatever it is. And so I think very similar. Like it's going to give an opportunity. Also, I think to find companies that have really cool stuff or really cool services that has a really hard time. How do you get that information out there today? It's very hard. You hire reps, you get a small pool of information or potential customers. But how do you make vocal that you've got a great product, a great service, and so it's also going to elevate, I think, great stuff that's going on out there that may not get the voice it needs.
Yeah, well said. I think that often takes years to build that reputation, and with a platform like Forest, I think that will shrink that time frame down and allow people to say, "Hey, we're great. Check us out."
Yeah, again, a human interaction with Amazon, and you get companies you never knew existed or products you never knew existed and never would have if it was
Right.
a platform like Amazon that makes it, it aware to you as a consumer.
It's pretty amazing what's available nowadays. How far along are you in the process with the development of Forest, and is it about ready to launch?
Yeah, it's I don't spend a lot of time trying to get ready. I spend a lot of time getting ready. And, so we're in beta. So you have the ability to sign in if you want to be part of beta. We take a look at who those are. We're trying to get the right collection of people to give us feedback. I spent a lot of time talking to people like yourself and others, early days of trying to get some feedback in the loop. I've always done that with Specright. I'm going to do it with Forest to really make sure we're hitting the point that people need, both from a provider of value and a seeker of value. Make sure both are getting what they need. So we're just going to balance that in the beta, and then we're hoping to come out of beta with early product, in the next month or so. And in that case, again, back to your earlier statement about how we're building it, the system is going to build on itself. And the idea is every day you go into the system, it will be better than it was yesterday. And we'll just kind of drive that towards adoption and utilization of the system for the next year, and then look to expand. We got some really interesting stuff that we plan to expand and add to the platform as we go forward.
That's exciting, and you're right. It's a different mindset now than it used to be. Where it used to be, we updated our website, we'll do that again 3 years from now. Now it's daily. It's down to the minute. Like you mentioned, those reviews and those comments will be added. And, as a podcaster, I can tell you every 5-star review is very much appreciated. We watch those numbers tick up slowly, but we appreciate that feedback and the comments that people give on the podcast, things like that. So I can see that on your platform, it's going to be really exciting. How do people like Atlantic Packaging? How do we get in touch with you? How do we say, "Hey, we want to be on Forest platform today"?
Yeah, well, you guys have the direct line. My phone rings just out of it. But no, everybody else, it's really easy. Two methodologies. How I've always operated is I'm highly accessible. So, LinkedIn, obviously you can capture me, but also Matthew at forest-pkg.com. You can email me, and you go directly to the website, forest-pkg.com, and there's a idea there to sign up or to get more information or to get a demo on the site. There'll be some demo videos that give you a little taste, a little flavor of what it looks like and from a different experiential model. So again, very accessible. LinkedIn, the website, or email, and happy to engage and answer questions and get you rolling.
Let's get into the weeds a little bit more. What kinds of services will Forest provide other than kind of that matchmaker service, which is so valuable?
Yeah, and so twofold. So one is you have existing vendors that you enjoy today, and you want to get them certified on the platform. That's very easy to be done. And in doing that, what you'll be is certified. You'll be a certified buyer or seeker of packaging. It not necessarily has to be buying, but could be a student looking for more information. So you will sign up. You'll get allowed to be part of the system to make sure you're a legit person that's in the packaging space, included in our forest. And so it's a very simple profile build. And same thing on the resourcer. If it's a testing lab or it's a manufacturing company or it's a distributor or a designer, you'll have a profile build that will be authenticated and certified. And in there, some of the things you can do is have your certificates. If you are saying, hey, I'm FSR certified, I'm ISO certified, whatever it is. What's nice about it is, as a vendor or a provider of resources, you can just point everybody to there. You don't have to send an email to every customer asking for it. You don't have to answer it 10,000 times. Just say, hey, all my certifications are sitting in Forest. You can go view them there and realize they're legit. So just from that standpoint, there's a lot of value in knowing that you're in a world that's truly accurate, certified, and connected. And then actions and activities, whether it's a new vendor, a current vendor, you can search. Obviously, as we talked about, very deep analytical searches. But we're also looking to have chat. So you have
Great.
conversation with your vendor in the solution. Quit having emails and text and just have it in the platform. You can compare multiple different offerings. You can look for alternative options to something you have. And then you can request samples. You can track the samples. That's one of the most nuances I hear from people. Is like, oh, I just asked for samples. I don't know where it is. And so built in there is a communication method for tracking by shipping, where it's at in process, once you get it, proving it. Same thing on quotes. You can ask for quotes or bids or information and track it back and forth. And then ultimately, and a lot of people have their own ordering systems. You can either integrate with one of those or order through Forge. That's not the primary function, but that function's there for those that may not have that function today. And so we're really looking at kind of full communication between people, again, whether that's looking for research, looking for product, looking for solutions. All that communication should be managed through Forest, or can be.
That's excellent, because I can attest to that. The frustration of, hey, supplier X, I need that box sample, or I need that packaging piece. Where is it? It's been 3 days. Has it been shipped? It's like the first time I saw Domino's pizza tracker, I thought, wow, that's brilliant. Okay, it's in the oven. Okay, it's in the box. It's in the car. It's on the way to us. This is the new way of doing things. It's been so frustrating, and now it sounds like you're going to take a lot of that stress out of the process.
Yeah, I mean, you just nailed it. Like if we can do that with Domino's, we can do that with your detergent being delivered in the same day, and you can see it on your app. Why can't you see that with your sample for packaging? I mean, it's the same concept. So we're just layering that experience that should be there into the world you and I live in.
Great. Well, very exciting stuff. Anything else that you wanted to mention before we call the show here?
No, first of all, I always appreciate the time with you and always enjoy it. I would say for everybody, it's educational. Get in, learn, try it, be part of it. This is just to help enhance the great and amazing things you all do today. Just like my analogies are never great, but the Italian restaurant now down the corner can quit worrying about advertising their wares, and they can just do a really good job at making Italian food, and the customers will be there, and they'll do it in an automated method. The same thing in this world is just keep focused on the great things that you all do, and really let Forest take over the challenging, non-value added activities that we're all chasing today.
Great. Well, thank you, sir. Appreciate you, Matthew, for joining the show again, and always thankful for your wisdom and insights. I'm sure this new venture will be just as successful, if not more, than your last ones.
Thank you, Cory.